Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to Module 9. So we're wrapping things up, guys. We're finishing up, and I just want to say, I just want to say, as a group, you guys are showing outstanding progress. I did this little thing this week. I'm taking a look at this week's submission for concept development for our final project, and for giggles and grins, I went back to week one and I looked at concept development for our very first assignment. That was the icon design assignment. Remember? All right. So I'm comparing concept development with this third and final project with concept development for the first project, and we are seeing some vast improvements, and that points to learning. And that points to two things. Number one, individual learning, and number two, learning as a group, which is important because in this industry, this creative industry of design is quite a collaborative effort in many different facets of design. So to show progress and to show the ability to work as a group, I think is very, very important. And I think to a high degree, we're seeing that in this class, specifically how you guys are reacting to each other's critique comments and recommendations for improvement, and also based on the discussion board responses as well as the response posts. I'm sorry, the discussion board initial posts and the response posts to your classmates, your peers posts. So that's good stuff. It's all good stuff. I think it's a win-win here. I think you guys are doing great on an individual basis, and you're doing great as a group. Both are equally as important. Last week we looked at how to, idea generation. How do we generate ideas? And just as importantly, how do we apply those ideas to branding strategies? And I think at this point, there's a few different things that need to be mentioned. Right now, it's very important to understand where we've been. So we've looked at the history of visual communication, the need for visual communication from a historical standpoint. Also in contemporary settings, in different situations that require nonverbal communication, visual communication. Why is that the case, and what is the most effective way to deliver that message? So right now, we're as I said, we looked at idea generation. We looked at idea implementation to branding strategies, which ultimately what this class is about is branding strategies, right? We've learned a lot of theory in this class. We've learned a lot of communication theory, and I think you guys are retaining that and you're understanding that. And again, that's based on your writing for the written portions of the assignments, as well as the discussion boards, as well as the responses to discussion boards. So this is really a positive environment, and I couldn't be more pleased with this class, not only as individuals as part of a group, but as a group itself. So so this week we're going to take a look. We're going to kind of culminate all of these things we've learned, these theories, and we're going to kind of dissect it and to look at two different ways to look at how we communicate and the message. How can we look at our message? And we've learned already that there's two different types of meaning. There's denotative meaning, which is the direct meaning, and then there's connotative meaning, which means more subjective attributes that a specific user group might assign to a visual communication, a piece of communication, a message that is delivered to that subgroup. All right. Why is this important? This is important because as designers, we work on a worldwide stage. We don't work in a vacuum. So, and theoretically, that's what we strive for. We strive to communicate on a world stage. So we're not just going to graduate from design school and design logos for the companies in our neighborhood. Do you see what I'm saying? We're going to grow. We're going to strive for growth. And in striving for growth and attaining that growth, we need to think about communicating to a wider audience than what we are used to. So we are going to think outside of our own personal demographic, outside of the demographic that we are accustomed to. And we're really going to start to think about communicating on a world stage where we have some communication barriers and some cultural barriers, and we need to learn how to transcend those barriers through visual communication. And inside your heads right now, you should all be saying to yourselves, well, sure, that's all about research. And it is. And the reason I've set this up like this is because to a very high degree, again, I've said this 9 times now in 9 different announcements for the class, and I'll probably say it again for our final announcement for week 10, but design is all about research. Successful design equals successful research. So that's really important to understand. All right, on to bigger and better things here, guys. I just want to kind of give it the delivery of the kind of state of the class address, as it were. All right, so there's where we're at, and here's where we're going. We're going to take a look at how to deliver what we've been doing all along right now, right? So we've taken everything. We've taken a look at the history of the need for nonverbal communication, the history of the need for visual communication. We've looked at logo. We've looked at icons. We've looked at symbols. We've looked at logos. We've understood the difference. We've looked at each in a historical context and taken that historical context and applied what we've learned from that to contemporary use of those assets, right? So we've also learned denotative, connotative meaning. We've also learned how to generate ideas and how the application of those ideas to branding strategies. Now we're going to put it to practice. And how are we going to do that? We're going to learn how to deliver logo variations in file formats. So, ultimately, this is about developing branding strategies for our clients, right? How do we deliver those goods to our client? And that's what this module is about. So it's kind of where the rubber hits the road. So in other words, we're taking all this theory and practice that we've learned, and we're gonna employ it into real world practice. All right. Logo variation file formats. So what is logo variations? Logo variations are, look, when you design for a client, you design a logo. A lot of young designers think, okay, so I design a logo and that's it. Okay, I get my paycheck and I'm off to bigger and better things, right? That's not the case at all. It's a logo is only the start of it. We have to look at the logo. We have to look at different variations of that logo, and in what instances would a logo not work. So in other words, in a really simple way of putting it, if you have a long, narrow logo like this, and you have if you have a horizontal logo that's narrow in height, but it's very long horizontally, and you have an area to fit a logo that is not as wide as the logo itself, well, we need a variation of that logo. And I know that's a really simplistic way to explain it, but that is basically all we're looking at here is different variations of logos for different applications of that logo based on the need for those different variations, which quite often is based on the physical limitations of the dimensions based on the space that we're going to place that work, right? So we have different variations. So we have horizontal logo, we have a vertical logo, and then we have an icon, one color icon. We've got a reverse, we've got white on black, we've got variations to fit on photographs. We've got many, many, many different variations of logos, but right now we're going to look at these. Horizontal logo, vertical or stacked logo, a word mark, also known as a logo type, an icon, also known as a brand mark, a logo lockup, which is basically, logo lockup is there's a couple of different definitions. A logo lockup can be a combination logo. Let me show you. This is a logo lockup right here, okay? Because this logo is a combination logo. It's a mark as well as a word mark, okay? So we have the brand mark as well as the word mark. In combination, it's called a lockup. A lockup also refers to any kind of a variation of a logo. So nationwide, if you're just showing the word, that could be considered a lockup. So basically, you can look at a lockup as different variations of the logo, but technically a logo lockup means the brand mark and the word mark shown together, as we can see right here in Chanel. Now, Chanel uses this brand mark separately from the word mark and uses the word mark separately from the brand mark, but when placed together, that's known as a lockup. Okay, then we have horizontal, one color and reverse. That's important too. So go ahead and read through this stuff. It's all really super important, especially when you get down to here, one color logo variation, reverse logos, and really think about when you're reading through this, think about the need. Why do we need this? Why do we need these different variations? And wrap your head around this, guys, because our final delivery for the final project does entail different variations of the logo. So definitely you want to know this. Plus, it'll be good for this week's discussion board to know these things inside and out. Okay, there's a little hint, right? Okay, logo file formats. This is by no means a comprehensive list, and I think each logo and each designer has a different list. Each studio has a different list of the deliverables that would be pertinent to a client who has employed us to create their branding strategies, right? So these are just some of the versions that we can look at. And there's more in the links that I've left in the exploring your own section. So we'll look at that in 1 second. Also, I thought it would be really super interesting, though, to also leave some examples of graphic design contracts. And just to give you kind of an overview of how we're contracted to work and what that contract entails and how it can affect the assignment, the project itself. Okay, continuing on your own. There's some great links here, guys. Now, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, take some time to read these. This is going to bolster your understanding quite successfully. All right, so take those links, and you know what? When the class ends and you don't have access to the class anymore, please feel free to save these assets from the class. In other words, copy these links, place them in your favorites so you can have them. Moving forward, attendance question this week. Pretty straightforward, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening in the attendance question for this week. And so 200-word minimum. In your own words, please describe 4 possible logo variations and the reason a client may need them. Then name and describe at least 3 different file formats suitable for logo delivery. And then please respond to 2 of your classmates' posts. That's just really a matter of courtesy, right? Module agenda, and then our assignment is our final mock-up, and that is due at the end of Module 10. So we're going to be looking at concept development for our original logo this week, and then at the end of week 9, we're going to be taking a look at the digital, your digital renderings for first series of digital renderings, and then of course we'll wrap it up by looking at the final mock-up due at the end of week 10. So there you have it, guys. Welcome to week 9, and again, I'm available here. Those of you who have been emailing me know that you're not waiting for a response from me. I'm immediate getting back to you. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, especially moving towards the tail end of the class, please don't hesitate to get with me, and don't expect to have to wait for a response. Typically I'm back to you within 24 hours, if not 12 hours. So keep that in mind. Questions, comments, concerns, please let me know, and I'll see you guys in this week's discussion board. Thank you very much.